I I remember when I was a kid, um, a lot of the times, my mother and the adults that were in charge of me at the time, they didn't really want me watching content that was meant for adults, like adult content, because and the reason behind that was because I was like, 7, 8, 9 years old at the most, right? And a lot of the jokes that they cracked and the adult content I didn't really understand. They would use words that I didn't know the meaning behind, right? And I remember this one time, I was watching a video on YouTube, right? And it was a Smosh video, and in the video they said something about easy button. I wish that everyone in the whole wide world would get a boner, and he pushed the button, and the other dude was like, "Oh well, you must not have done it right because I definitely don't have a boner. I'll be right back." And then he goes off somewhere, right? And I saw that. I wondered, huh, what's a boner? I know what that meant, right? So I think about 2 or 3 months later, I was at my friend Dylan's birthday party, right? And then out of nowhere, poof, the word boner just appeared in my head. Like, boner, boner. I know what that was. So what I did is that I went up to my friend Dylan's mother, right? And I asked her, what does boner mean? No, no, no joke. I actually did that. I actually did that. And she was like, please don't ask me that. Which is what she said. I'm like, no, okay, okay. So then I left. And a little while after that, I went up to my friend Dylan's aunt and asked her the same question. And she's like, please don't ask me that. I'm like, okay. So I stopped asking people what the word boner meant, right? And I just went to go play with my friend Dylan. My little sister was there too. And we're just playing at his birthday party, right? And when I got home, my mother just hollering at me, just hollering to the top of her lungs straight at me. I'm like, well, what did I do? Right? And she said that Dylan's mother called me and told me that you asked her what the word boner meant. I'm like, well, okay. And like, Deshaun, the word boner, it's when your ding dong gets hard. Oh, I know. It's when your junk, a man's junk, gets hard, which is how I found out what the word boner meant. That's how I found out what the word boner meant, right? I'm like, and she said, from now on, whenever you have a question, just ask about what a word means. Just come and ask me, and I'll answer it. I'm like, okay. And about around, I guess I have to say 8 years later, I turned 18, right? I'm 18 years old, and according to the law, I was now considered as a grown adult, right? Uh, and a lot of people at that age, yes, they're mentally mature. Sometimes they're not mentally mature, right? Uh, but anyways, I was the one that wasn't really mentally mature at the time, right? And I was in the main office. I used to live in a trailer park in Prospect Circle. I went up to the main office, right, to pay the rent. And then there was an elderly woman, right, and she kind of spoke, "Oh hi there," with an accent. She kind of spoke with an accent. I'm like, huh. And I asked her where she was from, and she said, "Oh, the United Kingdom." Oh, so she's British, right? Oh, okay, so she's British. Blah 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 blah. And so we were just talking about culture and stuff like that, and I thought that was fascinating, right? Because she taught me a lot of things about the United Kingdom, England, because they could be like in England in England this will be okay, right? They could just go up to somebody and says, "Hey there, you fucking little bug at your mother's there, cunt, how you doing there, you little twat?" I swear to God, and it's called acceptable there. Because it's out of good fun. It's out of good fun. Oh, just out of good fun to just mess around. That's how they greet people, right? And then she said, "Hey, but if I did that over here, they might hit me." And yeah, there's a very good chance. If you do that shit in America, there's a very good chance they will come swinging on your ass, right? And so we're just talking, right? And I asked her, "Hey, what does wanker mean?" because I heard British people saying wanka, 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 just calling each other wankers all the time, and I never really knew what it meant, right? And I was a hard headed kid, right? I was hard headed. Like, you tell me not to do something, and I'll do it anyways. I would do what I want to do, regardless of what anybody said, right? And looking back at it, my mother's like, Deshaun, if there's a word you don't know the meaning to, just ask me. But here goes the thing. That was a British word. My mother was American, so even if I had asked her what wanker meant, she'd be like, So I asked a British person who was from the United Kingdom what the word meant, because, you figure she'll know, right? So I asked her what the word wanker means, and she was like, it means you masturbate. And I was like, oh, the expression on my face, like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know all that. And what was so funny is that just like an elderly woman was like, it means you masturbate. Oh my god. That was like a person around my age, like 18 or something like that. She was like, I'll have to put an age estimate around late 50s, early 60s, mid 60s at the most. I'm like, oh. That was freaking hilarious. That was hilarious. And you know what? And I think I can name another time where my friend, his name was Eric. He was he's from New York, right? And he was telling me about New York, right? And he said, hey, don't ever go over to New York and call someone a Windalecker. Not Windalecker, because if you say Windalecker, they're gonna know you're a tourist. Don't ever call them a Windalecker, because I promise you're gonna get punched if you do. I'm like, okay. So based on what he just said right there, I'm like, okay, well, I know that Windalecker doesn't mean good, because if it meant good, why would they hit you, right? And a few months after that, I was having making small talk with one of the teachers, right? We're just talking about different people from different places meaning different things, right? And I told her that, hey, my friend said if you ever go over to New York and call somebody a Windalecker, he said you're gonna get punched. And I don't know what Windalecker means, because I didn't ask him. Kind of wishing I did ask him what it meant when he said it, because now I'm wondering, oh, what does that mean? But when I said the word Windalecker, the teacher goes, oh, like she was familiar with the word, right? And what she said is that, I'm not from New York, but my husband is. And the word Windalecker originated from the mentally slow kids on the short bus licking the window, which is how the word Windalecker originated. I'm like, oh, I didn't know all that. And I'm right now. I'm 23 years old. I'll be turning 24 at the end of this month. And one of the few things I've learned during my life is that the way you word things makes a huge difference. Wording makes a huge difference. It's all how you put it. The choice of words, and that's something I had to learn the hard way. That is something I had to learn the hard way here. And like, say for example, you use the word black and nigger. If you say nigger, if you use the word black or African descendant, that's not considered as offensive, even though they both mean the same thing. But for some apparent reason, the word black or African descendant is more acceptable. And yeah, I kind of get it, because how the word, because I'm American, because due to this thing called slavery, it's offensive to call black people the Negro, nigger. It's offensive now. So we had to come up with a whole new word like black or African descendant to describe that race of ethnic people, right? And yeah, I can see, even though they all mean the same damn thing, but I wouldn't go around using the N-word. No, I'll either use the word black or African descendant. I'll probably just say black. But yeah, it's a trip. It's really a trip on how. But then again, it doesn't really take much to get people upset nowadays. It doesn't. Because I was just on TikTok, and this guy was talking about this chick facing a lot of negative public backlash because on her profile picture it was Black Lives Matter, and it was like that for about a few months, and then she changed it back to her face being her profile picture, and she received a lot of hate for that. I'm like, well, because she changed her profile picture, like, oh, she's racist. What? If she was a racist, why the hell would she have, oh, Black Lives Matter? Like, how does that make her racist? Like, what? And even I myself, I was like on TikTok, right? There was like 3 fish, right? One silver fish, one orange fish, and one black fish, right? And I'm just watching the video, right? And this black fish jumped up, ate another fish, swallowed it whole like it wasn't nothing. I'm like, holy crap, that is cool. And I know the species of the fish, so I just said, hey, what kind of fish is that black fish? So that's all I did. And it's like, hey, you can't use the word black, it's, offensive. I'm like, because, like I know the exact species of the fish, so I just described it by the color. Because, I don't know, like, shit, do you have any idea how many other fish are out in the sea? Like, literally, like, literal fish that are out in the sea. There's, like, millions of other species of fish out in the sea. How the hell was I supposed to know the exact species of fish? Like, come on, man. How am I supposed to know that? Like, people are really easily offensive nowadays. In all honesty, people are, like, you gotta be so careful with what you say nowadays. Because people get, ooh, like... And I'm over here like, oh, damn, it's not that bad. Now, if I had said that nigger fish, yeah, that would have been really messed up. Or that negro fish, yeah, but if you just said black, I'm like, come on. Isn't that like the acceptable term? But, and that fish wasn't even a human. It wasn't even a human. It was a freaking animal, and you still got hate for that. So, you know what? And it's just a trip. Like, this is what's wrong with society. They're too easily offended nowadays. People are too easily offended nowadays, and that's the problem. And mainly it's due to this social media. A lot of times people are getting more exposed for stuff. And a lot of people are getting exposed for stuff like recently, and there's like a lot of people that got exposed for some stuff that they did years and years ago. Like Pamela Anderson, I believe her name was. I always found out that she said the N-word like 20 years ago, and she lost her show and the whole. I'm like, what the frick? I'm like, dude, that was 20 years ago. Just because somebody was racist 20 years ago doesn't mean they're still gonna be racist today. Because people change as they get older, they get more enlightened, and it's a trip. Let's go ahead and ask your parents or your grandparents and ask them, hey, you still that same person from 20 years? They're gonna say no, because when people age, they not only do they change physically, but they also change emotionally. They're not that same. Literally, in my personal opinion, they're literally not that same person, because as people change, they get older, they change physically, like their appearance wise and mental wise. So in my personal opinion, they're not still that same person. Most likely, there's like an 80% chance that they're not still that same person. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say they're not still that same person. And it's a trip. Now, if Pamela Anderson had recently said that, then yeah, I can see how that would be a problem. And how do you know she was just saying it out of hate? Like how do you know that was just said out of just pure hate? Are you sure she wasn't just jokingly saying it as a joke? I'm like freaking Louis C.K. He said the N-word jokingly. He didn't face any, public backlash from that. So how do you know if it was even out of hate? Are you sure this wasn't out of a joke? But, she faced a lot of public backlash. And I personally don't believe Pamela Anderson is still a racist. She probably wasn't even racist to begin with. She was probably just saying, the N-word as a joke. People took it the wrong way. So, and even if she was racist, I don't think she's still racist nowadays. I'm like, people change, especially this day and age with, the Black Lives Movement, and even gay pride. Even gay pride. And when I go back about 20, 30 years, 40 years, being gay was like a Like back in my grandfather's day, like you're gay, you're gonna get beat up. People find out they're gonna beat you up. But nowadays, people are like, oh, okay, go ahead and do you. You know, you're gay. Just it's okay. Just don't come over and flirting with me. Yeah, like nowadays, people don't get beat up for being gay. And as society changes, people are now more acceptable with things that was completely unacceptable 30 to 40 years ago. But you know what? It's a trip. Even me making this video, I'm playing with fire with this video. Even making this video, talking to you guys right now, I'm playing with fire with just alone. Every time you post a video online, or any pictures or anything, you're playing with fire because you never know if it's gonna go viral or not. You know, and this is I love the internet. I love it and I hate it at the same time. If that makes any sense. I love it because it helps me express myself creatively, like comedy-wise, music-wise, choreography-wise, art-wise. And it also opens up my eyes to new experiences and helps me motivate myself as a content creator. You know, it motivates me. But then again, it also sickens me because I see people fighting out in the street, like people just getting beat up. Like, oh man, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people getting beat up. You know, I don't want to see people getting decapitated. I don't want to see John F. Kennedy getting shot in the head. I don't want to see that. You know? Now, if people are fighting in the ring, okay, that's different, man. Like, there's rules, there's regulations. Out on the street fight, anything goes. Like, pull knife, stab you, shoot you. Street fights are a lot more vicious than a regular fight. And I don't want to see that. You know, I like the internet. And it's not really the internet and the device. It's people. People are the problem. Like the device that I'm recording myself right now, that's not the problem. It's people. It's how us as people use it. And you know what? In my personal opinion, people are just so violent. I'm like, throughout history, and people say, well, it's not as bad. Yeah, it's not as bad, but we're just in a more sophisticated. People like to think, oh, humans, we got out of the food chain. Not necessarily. We're in a more sophisticated form of the food chain. Like freaking gazelles, zebras, lions, tigers, bears. Yeah, they're still in the old food chain. Us human beings, we're in the new food chain. We're in a new food chain. It's not as brutal as the old food chains that we evolved out of, but we're still in a food chain. The food chain is social status. It's wealth. That's the food chain. So there's lower class. Oh, damn. Middle class and there's upper class. That's the food chain for us human beings now. And we're in the food chain of the higher social class. This is not who's the biggest or the strongest. It's now all about social status and wealth. That's what it's all about nowadays. You know? So you want to get up on a social status, you know, get a good reputation going, make some money. That's how you get higher up on the food chain, you know? But, on the human food chain. But, you know, that's all I really had to say for this video. Thanks for watching. You'll have a good one.